Reuters reported on a blasphemous same-sex nativity scene in Italy, and I want to read a little bit about this to you and maybe help you to understand what I've seen, at least, in what the Catholic Church's strategy is, what Satan's strategy is in the Catholic Church, a couple of the strategies anyway. So the scene features two mothers and so-called baby Jesus images. I mean, these are just images anyway. A nativity scene is images. You would know that if you saw a giant statue, at least I would hope that you would, though most Christians don't seem to even recognize that. What's the difference between a giant statue and a little statue? It's all images. So Father Vitaliano della Sala told Reuters, I wanted to show with this scene that families are no longer just the traditional ones. Oh, you mean by traditional, you mean the ones God created? Male and female, he created them. When a husband and wife come together, they become one. Only when a husband and wife become one flesh is a baby produced. I mean, is that the one you're talking about? In our parishes, we see more and more children from the new types of families that exist and are part of our society. Children of separated and divorced people, gay couples, single people, young mothers. Well, that's because that's part of the problem of you not teaching people correctly. And how are you going to conflate single people or widowed people to totally changing the creation? And the word talks about these types of relationships, women with women, as being unnatural, as being something that people were handed over to when they were committing idolatry. Romans 1, verse 21, for although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like a mortal human being and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, just in case you don't know, means because of this, God gave them over to the sinful desires of their hearts, to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Verse 26, because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. It can't be more clear that this is not an identity. This is a sinful behavior, something that people were handed over to. We don't call these people homosexuals. We say these are people, God's creations, who are engaging in sinful behavior, homosexual behavior. They are not homosexual or gay. That's not an identity. I don't care what human beings try to turn into an identity. It's not an identity as far as God is concerned. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they knew God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but approve of those who practice them. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Approval of those who practice them. So what might we say about Father Vitaliano della Sala? According to what the word says, those who approve have a depraved mind. And see, recently Francis decided that priests can bless same-sex couples, same-sex marriages. I mean, they're not really able to bless. Only God can bless, and he's not giving them the power to bless. What he's saying is priests can give their approval. And I saw all kinds of stupid comments from people who obviously do not read the word about how blessing heals people and, oh, you guys are not understanding what a blessing is. No, I think I understand what a blessing is. What the Catholic Church is doing is giving their approval of these things. And what they also do is that they will say, as with the Pope saying that priests can give their approval or give their blessing, What was also said is that each parish is at their own discretion, like they can make their own decision about this. How is that possible, that each church can make their own decision about what they claim the vicar of God, because that's what they claim the Pope is, that the vicar of God can make this decision, but each church is at their own discretion? Like, how is that even a thing in the Bible? Does Jesus say, these are just suggestions, guys? Each one can decide what their covenant is. No, what Jesus says is a kingdom divided against itself will not stand. And so if you have a pope who is saying these are the things that are good, this is what's good, and then each church can do whatever they want, well, that's going to be a kingdom divided. And as it is, this is, you confront Catholics about this, and they're like, well, we've had many corrupt popes. What? How do you just accept that? You also say that he's the vicar of God. How do you accept that the vicar of God could be corrupt? How? Well, not all Catholics agree about this. So what are you guys doing about that? No, there's an attitude in Catholicism that this is just okay to have these things go on and just not agree about it because they don't read their word. They don't love truth. Don't say Protestants are any better. They do the same darn thing. So this Father Vitaliano della Sala goes on to say, in our parishes, we see more and more children from new types of families that exist and are part of society. Children of separated and divorced people, gay couples, single people, and young mothers. Father della Sala, known in Italy for sympathizing with LGBT and left-wing causes, says his attitude is in line with that of Pope Francis, who this week in a landmark ruling allowed priests to bless same-sex couples. And, part of what I hear people saying is, oh, this is a good thing for the church. This is not the church. This is the Catholic Church. This is a good thing for the church, and they're really moving forward. Listen, Jesus established certain things when he was here. God established certain things prior to Jesus being here. Those things have not changed. Nothing has been abolished, only been fulfilled. How do you then go and say that, wow, we're really moving forward? Moving forward from what? The teachings of God? The teachings of Christ? Wow, yeah, you're really evolving into what? The beast. That's what you're evolving into. The beast. The beast that's going to be thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, and the smoke of her torment is going to rise forever and ever. This is beginning to look more and more like Babylon the Great and the prostitutes that bore out of her, the beast, the Antichrist. This is all Antichrist. How are you going to say that you have evolved from the teachings of Christ? No, you've changed the teachings of Christ, and you're calling that good. Evil for good and good for evil. This is disgusting. And this is what the Catholic Church does. They allow factions. They allow little groups of people to, pursue a cause, and then they adopt it, which is exactly what they do when they go and conquer new territories, or when they have conquered new territories. They conquer the territory and adapt their false gods and turn it into something Christian. That's not Christian. Same strategy that they're using here. Devils come forward and say, this is what we should be doing, or I had a dream, or I had a vision, and then they just adopt it into what they're calling Christianity. Doesn't make it Christian. What it makes it is Antichrist, looking like a lamb, but speaking like a dragon, having the appearance of godliness, but denying his power, and denying his word, and denying his truth. Okay, so I've said to you, in less than 2 years, this Antichrist is going to rise. It's going to dominate. It's going to persecute and kill God's people. Are we on track, guys? Are we on track for this? Or does it still seem far-fetched? No, we're on track for this. And you think, well, how can the whole world go along with this? I mean, they are. How can the whole world take the mark of the beast? Well, if the mark of the beast is in your heart and it's coming out of your right hand and your forehead, your deeds and the way you think and believe, then anyone who thinks and believes this, they're on track for it too. But those who are grieving and lamenting the detestable things that are done in Jerusalem, in God's church, the ways that his gospel is being distorted and perverted, and as long as you don't sit there lazily thinking, oh, well, I'll wait for everyone else to do something about it or say something about it, as long as you don't do that, and as long as you care about the cause of God, and you fight for it, and you point these things out to people, and you're not more afraid of man than you are of God. And you're not more afraid of those who can kill the body than the one who can kill both body and soul in hell. As long as that is the position that you are in, and you're a good soldier for Christ, then you're bearing the fruit of one who has the seal of God in your heart. And you will be persecuted, and you will be killed, you will be martyred, but you will have saved yourself. Now go point these things out to people. Go bear children for God. Do not hold anything back. What he tells you in your ears, what he whispers in your ears, you shout from the rooftops. Do not let God's truth be defiled like this. You look for every opportunity to point these things out to people. Go out there, talk to Catholics, see how difficult it is to get them out of this delusion. Even the ones who admit that this is wrong, they say things that just baffle me. Like, this pope really needs to go. No, you need to wake up. You need to go. You need to get out of this harlot. How are you going to say that God appointed this person to lead his church? Show me an example in scripture where he did that, where God made a mistake. Show me one mistake that God made. Well, then why have there been so many mistakes in this Antichrist kingdom started by Catholicism? Why is this going on? Go point that out to people.